Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and haunted entertainment industry. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we are back once again, as usual, celebrating the mundane.
Yes.
Another Monday, another episode of Haunt Weekly. I know. Sunrise, sunset, Haunt Weekly goes up. It's life, I get it. I understand. But yes, we are back. And we have kind of a difficult episode this week.
It is.
And we're kind of hoping to generate a little conversation with this one.
Yes, so please, if you have ideas or thoughts on this, put them in the comments for us at Haunt Weekly on Facebook, on Twitter.
And on hauntweekly.com. We're
Yes.
Haunt Weekly on Facebook, Haunt Weekly on Twitter. We really want to have some dialogue about this one. I think this is something that's very important. We've touched and sort of hit around this issue in previous podcasts.
Right.
Especially when we're talking about Not Scary Farm and
Right.
the controversy over their VR asylum attraction. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to come at it a little bit more directly, I think.
Yeah.
So on that note, before we kick that off, let's do our conference reminders. And I believe it's Crystal's turn to start.
Yes. July 29th and 30th, Midsummer Scream. We actually know someone who's going to this, listener. So we're going to look forward to hearing their thoughts about what they think.
Their thoughts about what they think.
Yes, their thoughts about what they think. It's going to be a good podcast.
With words and stuff.
Yes. Midsummer Scream is going to be at Long Beach Convention Center. Features presentations from Not Scary Farm, which you just mentioned, Six Flags Fright Fest, and the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. Features a Hall of Shadows with 14 mini haunts put on by different attractions.
Doesn't that just sound like the most awesome thing ever?
It does.
I keep gushing about it, but I can't help it.
Yeah, we're all the jelly about that. Midsummerscream.org for more info on that.
All right. Well, after that, also on the West Coast in Buena Park, California, is the Haunted Attraction Network Leadership Symposium, Innovation and Interactivity. It's on August 1st. Whew, that's a mouthful. Mm-hmm. But yes, it's put on by Ganta Media, the people that purchased the Haunted Attraction Network. It is held at Knott's Berry Farm, which we know, of course, is Knott's Scary Farm. Knott's Berry Farm does not exist in this universe. It certainly does not exist like 10 and a half months out of the year or anything.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, the goal of this is to help you create your own interactivity plan. Speakers will include John Cook from Not Scary Farm, Brian Llewellyn from the Queen's Mary, and Leonard Pickle from Entrepreneurs. So a lot of overlap between this and Midsummer Scream. And plus, Leonard Pickle, because he is like Batman, he's just everywhere.
Yes.
Tickets are $60. Learn more at HalloweenAttractionNetwork.com.
Right. August 5th and 6th, Scare LA, Los Angeles Convention Center, West Halls. Over 200 vendors and hopefully more than 200 visitors and many panels on the haunted attraction.
No, it's exactly 200.
Exactly. They put a cap this year. No,
I'm sorry. If they got like 198 visitors and you've got a party of 4, screw you. You can't come. You gotta leave 2 people behind.
Yeah, ScareLA.com for more info on that.
Yes. And then on the East Coast, finally some love for the East Coasters. It's the East Coast Haunt Gathering August 5th and 6th in Billerica, Massachusetts at the Courtyard Boston, Billerica, Bedford. Learn more at hauntclub.net.
Mm-hmm. Then August 25th through the 27th, it'll be Halloween and Haunt Fest show in Dallas-Fort Worth at Mesquite Convention Center. HalloweenandHaunt.com for more info there.
Then September 8th and through the 8th and 10th, that'd be a weird conference.
Yes.
8th through 10th. It's Mask Fest in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Marriott Indianapolis East, not the Marriott Indianapolis West. That is the bad one. You do not go to that one.
So it's the reverse from California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a nice conference all about makeup effects and mask making. Learn more at maskfest.com. And as Crystal is apt to warn, try not to get sick while trying on the masks. You're too close to season.
Yep. All right, October 14th and 15th. We realize a lot of you won't be able to go. Sinister Creature Con. The Scottish Rite Center in Sacramento, California. These guys do put on another show earlier in the year, so this is just to get them in your brain. It includes all things horror, including filmmakers, makeup, haunted attraction engineers, and actors. How are they going to be there? How are haunted attraction engineers and actors going to be at this in October?
The engineers, their work is done.
Well, that's true.
The actors, I don't have the foggiest.
Maybe it's during a
the
week.
day and they work, and I don't know.
Anyway, you can find, there's going to be lots of special guests, including Ted Raimi, Scott McDonald, Mark Ramone, and Ubi Bowl. SinisterCreatureConSacramento.com for more info on that.
All right, and finally this week, Legendary Haunt Tour, November 9th through 11th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Not a lot of details yet. Keep up to date on what's going down with it at LegendaryHauntTour.com.
Yes.
All right.
And a lot of people, just let you know, have been putting out their opening dates on their calendars. So if you're interested in visiting haunts in your area, now's the time to start planning which ones you can hit up if you're able to go.
Yeah, in fact, I think we're going to start sitting down and doing our schedule for 2017 pretty soon.
Yeah, because, guys in Tennessee, and I'm trying to pull up the message. I'm sorry, I just thought about this as we got on air because, I'm really good about this.
Planning!
Yeah, but they just put in all of the list of haunts in Tennessee that are opening soon, and I can't find it. Great.
Yeah, we'll come back to it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got a lot of haunts we want to go to. So, of course, all the ones in our area. And we're going to try to find ones that are out of the area. Our haunt schedule is usually pretty weird. We try to hit all the ones locally because that's a great way to contrast, compare, see what's improved, what's disapproved, what's disimproved.
Yes. Real quick, it was Tennessee Haunted Attractions because that's so hard to remember. Those guys have put all of the Tennessee haunts on their Facebook page.
Okay. Tennessee Haunted Attractions Facebook page.
Yes.
That should have just not even been a lookup, honestly.
I know, but,
Oh, well, it's late in the evening. We're tired. We've had a hard weekend.
It has
Long story short. But
okay.
Yes, we always try to do at least one trip to somewhere we've never really been to.
Right.
Whether it's like we did St. Louis, we've done Western Louisiana, we've done Alabama runs, even the Florida Panhandle. We try to go to areas.
We tried to go to Florida Panhandle, but nobody was there several years ago.
But anyways, we try to go to places that we haven't been before. So who knows? Maybe we'll make a trip to Tennessee to go around.
Yeah.
And check out some of those fine haunts.
Yeah, we're looking at Tennessee and also close to the border along Texas, between Texas and Louisiana. So if you're from a haunt in those areas and you want us to come out, and especially if you have time during the day to sit down with us for an interview here, reach out to us.
Know that stuff in season. That's a big ask.
Yeah, but after the build's done, you're just waiting for opening at the end of the night, especially during the week.
It's never that easy. Come on.
I know.
We've done this enough to know it's never that easy.
Anyway, I still want to hear from you.
Yes,
so.
I still want to hear from you too. I agree.
There.
Once again, Haunt Weekly on Facebook and Twitter. HauntWeekly.com is the website. Definitely let us know. Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
All right. So why this topic? Why are we talking about offensive props / scenes and scares right now? Well, the reason is, and we follow all these wonderful groups on Facebook and elsewhere, and everyone is making me super jelly.
Yes.
By doing these amazing builds right now. We're seeing the scenes come together, the props are coming together.
Right.
All this great stuff is going on, and it's really, really exciting. But yeah, one thing that we've noticed, not so much in those groups this year, to be honest, but we've noticed in going through haunts, is that a lot of the scenes, a lot of the props, and a lot of the elements might be unintentionally offensive.
Right, and one of the ones that we'll talk about later, we actually were going to do, we had been looking forward to doing it for years. Finally got the animatronic to do it last year, and then thought about, why is this scary?
Yeah.
And we were kind of called out on it by Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. She's like, that might not be appropriate for your area.
In our audience.
Yes. So then we got to thinking about it, and there are several scenes that kind of fit that same thought line.
Okay, so before we jump into this, I want to make a handful of things very, very clear.
Yes.
First off, sitting here around this microphone yakking about this
Right.
are two middle-class, white Americans.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to us directly. Some of it may apply to our families, some of it may apply to people we know, but most of it does not apply to us directly. We understand that.
Yeah.
We're looking at this through the prism of some fairly privileged people at the end of the day. And I understand that.
Yeah.
Second, I want to also be clear on this point. I believe haunting is an art.
Yes.
I believe very firmly in that. So here's the thing. You have the right to express yourself however you want.
Yeah.
That being said, haunted attractions, because of their very nature as sort of a pass-through, may not be the best place to have a detailed conversation about some issues.
Right.
You know, it may not be the best place to discuss race and sexuality and these complex social issues.
Right.
It's a very tough environment for that. So it's something to think about. But that being said, haunting is a project that's commercial in nature.
Yes.
We are here of course I'm excluding home haunters from this one.
Well, yeah.
But you're here to make money.
Right, hopefully.
You're here to run a business.
Yeah.
And part of that means it has to be somewhat mass market.
Yeah.
You don't most haunts don't open up with the intention of only putting through, a minimum number of people.
Yes, or a certain group of people.
Yes.
Because our civilization is very varied in the people that are going to be interested in coming to your haunt.
Right. And that makes it important to be kind of cautious and not unintentionally offend your potential customers in your market.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Going back to that, haunting is an art. If your goal is to offend, your goal is to shock, your goal is to attack these sensibilities, then that's your choice. That is your right. You do what you want to do.
Right.
The main thing we're trying to avoid is people absent-mindedly getting these things.
Which is what we almost did.
Yes, exactly. We almost fell into this trap.
Right.
We're coming at it from this almost happened to us. We have seen it in other haunts.
Right.
And I know those haunts did not intend to offend.
Right.
I know the owners.
Yeah.
They want everybody.
Yes.
They want everybody to love them.
Yeah.
So these guys crave the 5-star Yelp reviews like you wouldn't believe. They don't want to make nobody mad.
Yeah.
So the point is, we're trying to avoid those accidental moments where you offend or cause problems you didn't intend.
Yes.
And one thing we're going to discuss a lot through this is that there is a difference between scaring people and traumatizing people.
Yeah.
Scaring, at the end of the day, is fun. It gets the adrenaline going. It gets people screaming. Gets people excited. Traumatizing does actual psychological damage.
Yeah.
And you want to avoid the latter because that is never fun.
Yeah, it's never fun, and you lose a customer for life.
Yeah, basically.
And any of their friends.
All right. So we'll start with the one we nearly screwed up.
Oh, God.
This one.
Yes.
We still got the goddamn prop. We got to do something with it.
Okay, so we got it. Okay, what we got was when we first started haunting.
This was like 12 years ago now.
Yeah, 12 years ago when we first got our scene set up, our first scene. We saw online in a home haunting group a hack for the dancing Santa.
And this is the classic dancing Santa. They don't even make them anymore, to the best of my knowledge.
No, we found one in a thrift shop last year.
Yeah, we
so it took
us
12 years to find one.
And it was an accidental find, too.
Yes. And then as soon as we find it, it's brought to our attention that we're being stupid.
Yes. Basically, hanging scenes and nooses as props.
Yes.
Whew. This is loaded.
Yeah, no kidding.
There are obvious racial connotations here that we admit, like I said, two middle-class white people, we didn't think about it in the proper context.
No.
The thing is this, the history of lynching in the United States is very, very well known. And this history, this impact, this symbolism might be different in other countries, for the record.
Right.
We're speaking specifically to what it means in the United States.
Right.
But even today, nooses are used to intimidate people of color.
Yeah.
I mean, just in June, a noose was found at the African American Museum in D.C. as part of a hate crime.
Right, exactly. And it's been suggested to the museum that they add that to their collection as part of the continued hate in 2017.
And I agree.
Yeah.
But that leads to a real problem for us because we, as an industry, we tend to like hanging sequences because people are indeed scared of being hanged.
Right.
It's a terrifying way to die,
yeah.
and it is one that was very common historically. It's just unfortunately much of that history has a racial connotation. It's not simply it was used as a means of execution.
Yeah.
It was specifically used as a means of lynching black people for much of history.
Right.
And because of that, it becomes very, very racially loaded. Mm-hmm. And it may also cause issues for people who lost loved ones in suicide. The most common means of dying by hanging now is suicide.
Right.
And so you might have issues there as well. It's something to really think about.
Yeah, because growing up, that was from the way that I grew up, that was more of what I associated it with was suicide.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, the thought I have here is you can include this in a haunt, but you have to be really careful in the context.
Yeah.
You have to put this in a completely safe context.
Right.
Like the one example I give in the show notes here is a Wild West scene.
Yeah.
A full-on Wild West scene with cowboys and a gallows. That can work. It's still touchy.
Yeah, it's still problematic.
Yeah.
But maybe not quite as much.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways you can think about incorporating it.
Yeah.
But honestly, even in those scenes, it's probably wise to avoid it.
Yeah. And how many times per year does someone accidentally hang themselves?
In a haunt.
In a haunt or in a home haunt attraction. So it's just something to think about there too. Is that it is an actual danger.
If you're going to put never put a human being in a noose. Honestly, I don't care how safe your rigging is.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because if anything goes wrong, it's it's death. There's a reason they used it to execute people. Yeah. It's a very effective way to kill people.
Yeah, it is. And I know that there's the slide mechanism that some haunts have started using. And so they put a rope around someone's neck and then they jump down from a platform and they run towards you.
Yeah.
But the rope is not attached to anything. Yeah. It just looks like it is.
Yeah. There are ways to do it very, very safely. I admit that. But, still, it's... and that is one of the things. It is so loaded in haunts, too, because of the people who have died.
Right.
It can be more traumatic. The history of it in haunting makes it even more difficult to use well.
Yeah.
It's just so loaded. I don't know.
And you never know when you're going to... we use the word trigger now. Trigger someone who lost a loved one to suicide, or a friend, or anything like that. So that's also a consideration to take in.
Yeah.
And the thing when thinking about it is, why is it scary?
Yeah.
What makes this scary? What point are you trying to drive across? Because the people in line, if they're seeing a suicide scene, aren't thinking that they're going to be the next victim for the suicide.
Yeah.
And you want people to feel like potential victims, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about it is I don't find nooses particularly scary, or hanging sequences in haunts particularly scary.
Right.
I think some of the props make a really cool motion, and it's very interesting to look at.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. From a scare standpoint, it seems to be something of a miss, unless it looks like they're actually putting a human being in danger. Yeah. And then it's scary because people have actually died doing those stunts.
Right.
It's scary for the same reason watching Evel Knievel fly over 30 cars is scary.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking of that I was so glad that I have not walked through a haunt of a room full of hanging bodies.
Yeah.
Because I think that would just be way too far and too uncomfortable for multiple reasons.
Now, we have done body bag sequences.
Oh yeah, body bags
But
are
they're hanging
totally
by the
different.
ankle.
Yeah, that's
It's
totally
body
different.
storage.
Yes, that's body storage.
Yeah.
That's not somebody in a noose.
Yes, and that's kind of it. Is like it's not that you can't have bodies hanging; it's the noose itself that carries the connotations.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is something that means very different things to different people.
Yeah.
And we were not mindful of that. Like you said, I was like you.
Yeah.
I associated it more growing up with suicide,
Right.
but obviously to a person of color, it has a very different meaning.
Yeah.
Especially with the history and the current ongoing use of it.
Right.
So-
yeah, and we just listed one example.
Yeah.
But there have been several nooses left, including here in New Orleans.
Yes.
One was left in a break room, and the guy quit.
And yeah, I know for us and with our haunting, what we do, I would say between 85 and 90% of our attendance is black.
Yeah.
So yeah, a hanging sequence is triply problematic
Yeah.
for us, given our audience.
Now, if you wanted to do, we just mentioned that the noose is the problem.
Yeah.
However, meat hooks,
Yeah.
fan of meat hooks, you know?
Yeah, and that's and that actually I think is a more impactful way if you're going for the gore side of it. If you're going for that,
Right.
the reason a noose is scary is because of the social connotations.
Exactly.
Of it. It's not because the noose itself is particularly frightening. It's just something to think about. There are much better ways to string up a body in a haunt without hitting social norms and while getting that scare.
Right.
So the issue's not hanging. This is a really messed up conversation.
Yes.
Hashtag shit haunters say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the hanging of the body that's the problem necessarily. It's how you hang it.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem. I think maybe we should move on.
Probably.
But yes, give some thought to nooses and hanging sequences and maybe adjusting them a little bit.
Right.
To be scary for the right reasons. Okay, voodoo scenes and voodoo characters.
Yeah.
This is a particularly nasty problem in our area.
Yeah.
But we have seen these scenes in other parts of the country as well.
Yeah.
Including in Illinois, and St. Louis and that area.
Right.
And it really bears repeating. Okay, so here's the thing. Voodoo's origin is from Haiti.
Yes.
So its practitioners are typically black.
Yes.
That being said, they all aren't.
No.
We actually know a white voodoo priestess.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll get to her in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
However, it's too often though that whenever doing a voodoo sequence, the characters are actually caricatures and awfully racially offensive ones.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you want to see this in action in a weird way, to go back to the late 1980s, early 90s,
Yeah.
WWF then, look up the guy Papa Shango. He was a wrestler, he existed, and you'll see exactly what I mean. You'll look at him and through 2017 eyes, it's, oh no.
Well, you say that, but last year, one of the big things in a lot of the local big haunts was this particular doll that's in every voodoo scene, and it's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned her before. She's not appropriate.
Yeah. These scenes often come across as racially very insensitive.
Yeah.
Because they do play on stereotypes of race in order to work.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that I've noticed also is that a lot of haunts that we've been to, not necessarily all of them, caveat, will put their African American black actors in those kind of scenes. They are, voodoo scenes are the most popular, but can play anywhere.
Yeah.
Anybody can be scary.
Yeah. Yeah, and this raises another issue, though, and this is something that a lot of haunts don't think about, but we are confronted with all the time here in New Orleans. voodoo is a real and active religion.
Yes, it is.
It is. We attended a voodoo wedding.
We did.
Her cousin was married in an actual voodoo wedding.
Yes.
This
at
happened.
Marie Laveau's grave.
Yes, this actually happened.
Yes, it's on Twitter somewhere.
Yeah, I was trending on nascent Twitter when this happened. It got a little cray.
Yeah.
But yeah, voodoo wedding, I mean, that's just it. Voodoo is an ongoing, very real religion.
Right.
And it is believed very strongly, and it is steeped, at least in New Orleans, it sort of shares a lot of bonding with Catholicism.
Right.
So it's something to think about. It's a very misunderstood religion. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the negative stereotypes of the religion are perpetrated in haunting a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what I'm just saying there is try to remember that this is a real religion, and that long and short of it is there are people who still do follow and believe in it.
Yeah.
And I know that it may not seem like there are many, and there may not be many. I actually don't know the actual percentage of people who claim to be of the voodoo faith, but they exist.
Right. And once again, why is it scary? What makes it scary? You know.
Yeah, that is one of the fundamental questions we're going to keep going back to here.
Yeah.
All right, another thing, animal abuse sequences.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that we have seen in a lot of haunts, but the scenes that have featured animal abuse, it's usually not an issue if it's clearly fake.
Right.
And that's one thing to really remember, is that if it's obviously fake, it's probably not a big deal, and probably no one's actually going to care.
Yeah.
But when you convince people that it's real, when you go that extra step and convince people that it's real, then you might have an issue on your hand.
Yes. The haunt that we went to last year, the really, really shocking one that was closed down after its first weekend, used a real dog.
Yes.
And that was... I was worried for the dog.
Yeah. It was a very aggressive, very large dog.
Well, okay, so... I don't know if it was an aggressive dog or if they were tormenting it to be aggressive.
Fair enough, and that's probably very true. And it was trapped into a very tiny cage.
Yeah.
You know, if it had been a fake dog, and obviously fake dog is part of a scene, non-issue.
Yeah.
Moot point, we wander right over it.
Yeah.
But this was a real dog.
Yeah.
And no one, I don't think anyone at haunt stopped to really think about the connotations of animal abuse and that.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, I know we used to board our dog after the first year, and we saw how frightened he was of all the loud noises in the haunt.
Yeah.
We started boarding him at the vet's office so that he wouldn't have to go through all of that stress.
Yes.
Because it can be very stressful for animals just to be at home during a haunt.
Yeah. And the dogs do not understand what a haunt is about.
Yeah.
They hear lots of scary noises, see lots of scary lights. So yeah, maybe...
They hear screaming.
Yeah. Maybe step one is just don't have your damn animals inside the haunt.
Yeah.
Forget about animal abuse. Maybe we should just leave it there. Because, I mean, like, 13th Gate incorporates snakes and spiders and everything like that. Rats. But,
and some places use cockroaches, too.
But they're kept in environments that are, A, natural to them, but also separate from the customers. I don't think those are necessarily a problem.
No.
I think the snake pen at the 13th Gate, for example, is extremely generous for a snake.
Yeah.
I'd be quite happy there if I were a snake.
Well, yeah, and that's more to scare customers than it is to show abuse of the animal.
Yes. And then, meanwhile, other haunts, we have seen animals caged up like that. We have seen we've seen sequences where they would pretend very graphically to abuse animals.
Yeah.
And that can really upset people. There's people out there, and I guess I'm one of them, that find that very offensive and very unnecessary. Yeah. Even in a haunt environment. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is why is it scary? It doesn't... He's torturing a dog, but I'm not a dog. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a people. Yes. I checked. I looked in the mirror before I came in here.
You're a people.
I'm a people. I'm a people. I'm fine. Yeah. I just think that guy's an asshole. Now, that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. Basically, that makes me want to fight the person doing the abuse against anyone. Yeah. And that would include... God, it's going to sound like I'm comparing one thing to the other, and I'm really not trying to equate them. But, if there was a child abuse scene,
Yeah.
I would feel the same way. I would feel for the child and want to fight the person who was doing the abuse.
You would not be scared for you.
Right.
Yeah, you would be angry on behalf of the victim, the child.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That turns it the wrong way. Now, fortunately, that's not one we've seen very often. In fact, I think you just named the only time it was really bad.
Yeah.
And that was a first-year haunt. I think they didn't think a lot of things through.
Yeah.
Like things like permits and fire code and staying open the whole season without getting shut down. You know, that type of stuff.
More than 2 nights, Yeah.
Turns out we do actually have a fire marshal in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I wasn't very sure of that fact.
I've seen him driving around.
I was, because we've talked to the other haunters.
I know.
We knew how real he was.
Yeah, I know.
The point is, I've been to places where it's like, how is this place open?
Yeah.
In the area. Not so much in Orleans or Jefferson Parish here.
No, they're pretty good about that.
They're actually fairly good in the city.
Yeah.
But you go to North Shore, man. I've seen some haunts there. It's like, dude.
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah, the more country you get, the more lax the rules seem to be.
Yeah, and then you get those firefighters that have the haunt that's so bad.
Yeah.
It racks up like 100 violations when the fire marshal shows up.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. Another sequence of concern.
Yeah.
Hillbilly/poverty porn.
Yeah.
Now, I know from talking before we went in, you're kind of on the fence on this one.
Yeah.
But a lot of haunts, especially in urban environments, it's usually city haunts we see this at.
Yeah.
Will have sequences that feature rural or poor Americans and will often portray them as uneducated and violent.
Right.
And sort of perpetuate the stereotypes there. It's
Yeah.
often done in a comical way. It's not meant to be menacing by itself. And
it's a lot of the times it's the person with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
If they're not doing a direct ripoff of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is we talk about disadvantaged groups.
Yeah.
These are parts of the country that are suffering as well right now.
Yeah.
You read any story about the opium epidemic going on and where it's hitting the hardest. It's the rural counties. It's the poorer counties. These are groups of people who are suffering and who have their own challenges and disadvantages.
Yeah.
And haunts are far too often simply making fun of the plight or using them as a caricature for a cheap scare.
Right.
And that's a problem. So that's the question once again, and this is what you've been saying, is why is it scary? Is it scary because we're scared of people who are rural? Are we scared of Deliverance Land? Or is it scary for another reason?
Deliverance Land is kind of scary, though.
Yeah.
So that's why it,
But we automatically know you wouldn't do that type of sequence involving a poor urban neighborhood.
Right.
So why is it okay to do it involving a poor rural neighborhood?
Yeah. No, I get it.
And I think that's one of the problems I have with it is we understand, and one of the reasons is because, of course, the poor urban neighborhood has racial connotations on top of it.
Right.
But still, if poverty porn is wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And so we have to really think about this and think about the inclusion and how do we make these scenes if we're going to do it. Because, there's nothing wrong with a swamp scene in your haunt. There's nothing wrong with doing these rural sequences, the cornfield, the farmer, and all that, the rural sequence. In fact, and this is one of the reasons it's so common in urban haunts is because it is an alien environment.
Yeah.
One of the things a haunted attraction should do when it's doing its best is transport people to alien environments.
Yeah. So what do you say about a rural haunt that does a scene like this?
I don't know how it would work.
I've seen it.
I've seen it too, but I don't understand why it would be effective if most of the customers have lived and seen.
So would it be more effective then to have some rich crazy guy coming after the people? And flip the script.
That's just it. I saw the movie Get Out.
Yeah.
That stuff is creepy and crazy and scary.
It is.
That can really work.
Yeah.
And as we're going to discuss in a little bit, that's punching up.
Yeah.
That actually fits kind of the theme of the episode a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't understand how these scenes will work in environments where people live in that environment.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of the haunts you were talking about, like in some of those in like rural Mississippi we've been to, where they've included these scenes, and it's like, we drove past all this on to get here. You know, this, and we both have family from rural parts of our states.
And to be fair, I spent a lot of time growing up in the country.
Yes.
If you ask me, I am a country girl with a city heart. Because I love the city. I love living in the city and the convenience of it.
Oh, yes.
And I don't want to live rural again.
Never.
I grew up living very rural.
Yes. And that familiarity with it takes away some of the punch of a lot of that. It's not an alien environment to you.
No.
But still,
you say your Uncle Bubba's coming, I'm like, hi, how you doing?
Hi, Bubba.
Smells like good barbecue you got going.
Those scenes can lose punch. People are familiar with it. Figure out why it's supposed to be scary. If it's supposed to be scary because we're supposed to be scared of people that live in poor parts of the country or live rural, that's not enough.
No. Are we supposed to be scared of the stereotype?
Yeah. Now, are we supposed... Now, is this like, like in The Devil's Rejects?
Yeah.
Where you've got a rural family that's also obviously murderers that lure people in and kill people.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, that works.
But if it's just the stereotype we're supposed to be scared of, then you might want to rethink that.
Yeah, especially if it's just a one-off character in your haunt.
Yeah. We've seen that a lot where you'll go through a swamp scene, Bubba or whatever, there, and it's just, you meet Bubba does a jump scare, and that's the end of it. There's no narrative as to why I'm supposed to be scared of Bubba, other than he's named Bubba.
Yeah.
All I have, I'm supposed to be scared of him because of his name. That doesn't work.
No.
And it's offensive, frankly.
To
people who live there or grew up there, or...
Well, everybody from the country's named Bubba or Luann.
I'll have you know, I have a great uncle that won Bubba Fest.
I know. I know.
He was King Bubba. I think a couple of years running, actually.
Yeah.
But, long and short of it, think about that. Think about how to take this beyond just being a caricature of someone that's rural, and making it A, actually flipping scary, and B, not offensive.
Yeah, and I think actually one of the local haunts does that pretty well, and we're not naming people by name, I don't think, this episode.
No.
But they start out with saying, oh, wait until somebody sees you very early in the haunt, like when you're in line. They are mentioning this scary uncle.
I know what you're talking about now,
Yeah, they're mentioning the scary uncle.
Yeah.
And then or the scary brothers. It changes each year, which family member.
And one thing they do well is you get a narrative about them that grows and builds as you go through the haunt. You get pieces of the story.
Yeah.
And these characters become somewhat fleshed out.
Yeah.
Over the course.
Yeah,
that actually works well. You're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they are scary when you get to them.
Yep. It works much better. The build-up works. Mm-hmm. Okay, women victimization / sexualization sequences. We have done a whole series, and we're continuing to do a series on women and haunting.
Right.
Want to keep it up. But one thing we've seen, especially in some local haunts, is just women in damsel in distress roles, especially when that distress appears to be sexualized.
Yeah.
In many of the places we've been, this has felt very adjacent to, or actually just felt like, rape / sexual assault.
Yeah.
And, I actually looked up some statistics on this. According to RAINN, that's RAINN, 17.7 million women have been victims of attempted or completed rape. That's 1 out of every 6 women.
Yeah.
94% of those victims have some PTSD, and this is something I found interesting, 30% of victims continue to have PTSD symptoms after 9 months.
Yeah.
So for 30%, they still have those symptoms, for much, much longer. And long story short, women can be victims. Women can be anything in a haunt.
Yeah.
But it's important to make it so that the victimization does not appear to be sexual.
Yeah.
And to open it up to other groups being victims as well.
Right.
And that's one thing we were talking about before we came on the air, was how when we're going there was a sequence in one of the local haunts where they have a lot of girls in cages.
Yes.
With rats. And I give them their point. This is not a sexualized sequence.
No.
We're not harping on them for this part.
No.
But but every time we go through it, we're both kind of nonplussed.
Yeah.
Me, because I'm a dude.
Yes. And me, because they're all young, wafy girls, and I'm almost 40 and not small. you know
how to throw down.
Yeah. So I'm obviously not the killer's type. Now, if they had dudes and girls and different people of different sizes in there, then it would be more impactful to the whole group. Because it would...
This is how diversity helps make you scarier right here.
Exactly. Because it would include more of the people that are going through. Then, he probably is coming to get me because I look like that person over there.
I associate and identify with them.
Yeah.
They resemble me in some key way.
Yeah,
absolutely. That is a very, very powerful tool. And I've got to say, I'm very proud of us on this one because we actually did something playing around with this.
Yeah.
One of our big burly male actors was playing a victim last year.
Yeah.
And he was a victim to a tiny little girl.
Yeah.
And it flipping worked.
Yes.
He cowered and groveled for the best of them.
Yeah.
And she got angry and threw stuff at him, like bugs and stuff at him.
Yeah.
And people flipped out over it. This psychotic little girl is making this big, huge dude lose himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
It was so great. And it flipped the script so nicely, and everyone was now terrified of this little girl.
Yeah, and I think Japes actually gave us that initial idea to see if I could find someone in our haunt that was willing to do that.
And we did. We actually had someone that, he's such a teddy bear.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
Yeah.
He's like 6'6". Big, huge dude. But he's the gentlest of the gentle giants.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could obliterate me with one hit of his fist if he ever wanted.
If he knew how to make a fist.
If he knew how to make a fist, he'd do it. But he didn't want to do too much scaring because it hurt his voice and he had issues. And so, he took on the victim role and it worked.
Yeah.
It works so well. So, but find ways to make these scenes diverse and clearly not sexual.
Right.
If you can do those things, then, I think they have much more impact and you risk not going back and re-traumatizing, especially women, but also men who have been victims of rape and sexual assault.
Yeah, I was just realizing that you could have different ages in the cages too.
Yes, absolutely.
But then my brain landed on elder abuse scenes.
Okay.
Because
haunting is complicated, yo.
It is.
But then again, once again, if you have diversity and it's not just targeting elders.
Right, exactly.
It definitely doesn't ring of elder abuse. So think about that in terms of diversity. Diversity in terms of your aggressors and in terms of your victims.
Right.
It makes the haunt much more effective overall. It reaches and connects with more people.
Yes.
So anyways, as we wrap this up, some general rules to bring forth here.
Okay.
The first one's actually...
No rules!
No. First one's actually an old comedian rule.
Yeah.
Which is always punch up.
Yeah.
Exploiting disadvantaged groups causes offense. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter if the group is disadvantaged due to race, socioeconomic status, sexuality, gender identity, whatever reason.
Right.
Run the gamut. Exploiting fears of them in particular, by itself is... It causes offense. You've got to watch that. Right. I'm not saying you can't incorporate these elements into your haunt, but you have to be careful to do it in a way that is not offensive.
Yeah.
And it's very risky to play with these. And if you're not sure about it, you're not comfortable with it, the best thing to do is just skip it.
Yeah.
You can find other ways to be scary. We're a creative industry. We can scare without traumatizing people.
Yeah.
We can do this. I believe in us.
Yes.
But think of it this way. Speaking truth to people in power is almost always a safe thing to do in any artistic environment.
Yeah.
And, you gave the example earlier of having a rich perpetrator who's luring people into his house and doing horrible things. That's a good example of it.
Yeah.
That's, it maybe not quote-unquote speaking truth to power in this case, but the idea of showing an exploiter being evil and conniving, and hey, it's genuinely scary.
Right.
I mean, creepy-ass rich people are scary. Let's just be honest. If Bruce Wayne were real, he wouldn't be Batman. He'd be the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, there's debate over whether or not Batman actually does good for Gotham anyway.
There is. There's a lot of legit debate there. But yes, the point is, always punch up. Don't target disadvantaged groups just because there may be some fear against them.
Yeah, that's actually something that I was thinking of earlier today too. Whenever I read these, was that a lot of times we see people who are in wheelchairs or disabled in some way in victim roles. Mm-hmm. You know, someone has a prosthetic leg, you take the leg off, they're crawling along the floor. What if they were the killer? I'm just saying, what if you had a dude in a wheelchair or a girl that was the killer?
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see that sometime. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's one thing you have an opportunity to do in haunting that you don't often have in other forms of art. Yeah. Is you really can flip the script on these.
Yeah. You could also have them coming in and being the guide out of the room. Being like, well, I don't know. But that's harder to do.
Long story short is, yes, you can play around with these issues. As we've been talking about this whole time, though, the main thing is to focus on why something is scary. Not just that it is scary.
Yeah.
We often, look, we've done this, the two of us,
right,
sitting around planning our haunt many years. We've gotten so caught up in making a scare as powerful as we can.
Yeah.
And just trying to we want them to pee the floor here. This is the moment right here.
Yeah.
Why is something, but never really stopped and asked, why? Yeah. Is it scary? Is it scary because they have the perception of being in physical danger when they're not? Like when we do our breakaway walls or our drop panels with monsters?
Yeah.
Or is it scary because we're playing upon some stereotype that people have an inlaid fear on?
Right.
Because by doing that, we're actually perpetuating those stereotypes, and that's not helpful.
Yeah.
That is a bad thing, and it's probably going to tick off the group we're exploiting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is it scary because it's genuinely causing fright in them, or is it scary because of questionable symbolism?
Right.
You want to be scary for the right reasons. And we talked about the difference between scaring and traumatizing.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing, especially when you're dealing with, like, these sexual assault issues and whatnot.
Yeah.
It is possible to very legitimately scare someone and actually re-victimize them.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Right.
You do not want to be responsible for making someone's sexual assault worse.
Yeah.
Or someone's, battle with suicidal depression worse.
Yeah.
You don't want to make people worse. People should leave your haunt better than when they came in.
Yeah. They should be happy.
They should have had fun. They should not be depressed or stressed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they should be happy that they escaped all the crazy killers.
Yeah,
and I know that crazy is a strong term.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about that in another episode.
Yeah, we're not including the asylum thing because A, we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
And B, because we already did it. So go back and check those out. I'll put the episode numbers in the show notes on that one. But yeah. Long story short, be mindful of that difference. Another tip, and this is just an amazing suggestion that haunts often don't follow very well.
Yeah.
Have a diverse staff.
Yeah.
Focus on your diversity a little bit. Because here's the thing, a diverse staff not only helps you come up with more ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is just as flat true. The more people, more angles of attack you have coming from, the more ideas you're going to get. But a diverse staff can point out the problems you have.
Right.
I mean, like the hangman, like the news thing with us, when we were thinking about doing that, it took Ellie pointing it out to us. Now, Ellie is also white presenting.
Yes.
I think how she will appreciate me saying that.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, when you have that diversity, they can point out issues you might not think of.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to be that haunt that's the offensive one, it also helps you there, because think of the way that Blazing Saddles was written.
Fair enough. Richard Pryor wrote all the white jokes, and Mel Brooks wrote all the black jokes, and then swapped.
Yeah.
To make them even more offensive.
Yeah.
At least that's what Mel Brooks says.
Yeah. I have no reason to doubt it.
You know what? Mel Brooks is like one of the most honest people in the world, so I have no reason to doubt him.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah.
He seemed like someone who just forgot how to actually care about anyone's feelings and will tell the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, and part of that is if you're unsure about how you're going to deal with these issues in the context of your haunt, then it is difficult.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, haunts are passed through. People are spending, like 30 seconds to a minute in a room.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of time for a detailed, nuanced conversation about race or sexuality or, socioeconomic status or whatever. You don't have time for that conversation.
Yeah.
So if you can't find a way to include these things and incorporate them delicately and appropriately, don't do it.
Right.
Avoid them. And here's the thing. I know everyone talks about PC culture and blah, 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 and I get that. I get, some degree of the frustration there.
Yes.
Because it does seem like more and more things are getting taken off the table.
Yes, because haunts aren't really... Okay, so they're a safe space without being a safe space.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, I understand that frustration and more things being taken off the table and more pushback.
Right.
But there is still so much out there.
Yeah.
You can pull from.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of ideas.
No.
Just because we've come to realize that a few things are offensive or even hurtful doesn't mean that the rest of the spectrum of haunt ideas is not available to you.
Right.
And so rather than focusing on what may not be wise to do, think about the dearth of things that is still fine, wise, and wonderful to do in haunting.
Yeah.
There is so much out there.
There is.
But anyways, as we said before, and we're going to repeat the disclaimer, haunting is an art.
Yes.
I do believe that. I believe that very, very firmly. We are not a medium that's well suited to many of these conversations, like we said, but we are an artistic medium.
Yes.
So please feel free to do with your haunt what you want.
Yeah.
If you wish to go after these things, that's fine. Do so consciously and be aware of the potential, drawbacks and consequences of it.
Right.
If you don't want to target those things, then be cognizant of them and don't hit them accidentally like a lot of haunts do.
Yeah.
And
if you see something and you want to poke at it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't put in your haunt. That's not the purpose of this.
No.
The purpose of this is if you're not trying to offend, if you're not trying to target these things, think about them.
Yeah.
And be cognizant of them as you're building your haunt and avoid them.
Yeah.
It really, all it takes is being aware of it. And I know I'm the same way, you're the same way.
Yeah.
We all get a little drunk on all the awesome things we can do and all the ways we can scare people.
It's like, look, it's so easy. All you gotta do is put them in something and then the legs kick. And it looks awesome. And it does. But it's not the message we're trying to send with our haunt.
And it would not be scary for the right reasons.
Exactly.
So I think we actually stuck him last year in the yard display, didn't we?
We did. I put him in a scary clown costume with 2 knives in his hands, so he danced with the knives.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. And that was other than baby clowns, I think everyone will agree that's scary for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
A big fat clown coming at you with 2 knives, that's going to be scary no matter how you shake that one out.
Yes, anybody with 2 knives coming at you.
That is true.
Or dancing.
Yeah, well, 2 bloody knives in his hand.
Yes.
That is genuinely unsettling for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the main thing, is we're not trying to censor anyone, we're not trying to push PC culture down anyone's throat. That's not the goal of this. The goal is just to say, if you're not trying to offend people, you might need to rethink some of your rooms and some of your scares.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it.
Well, I think that's about all we have for right now for this week.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Anything else to say? Good luck with your build, everyone.
Yes.
Yes. So on that note, once again, we are hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook. Follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Write us, all that good stuff. Please do it. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you on this topic too. Are we going too far? Are we pushing PC culture down people's throats?
Yeah.
Or are we actually do we have a point?
Yeah.
Maybe we actually have a point. I don't know. this rambling podcast might actually have something. I don't know. If we do, let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. I think this needs to be a conversation in the industry.
Yeah.
And I thought it might have started with a Not Scary Farm incident over the VR.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it sort of got limited to that.
Right. It didn't really go everywhere.
Yeah, it didn't really break out from that one attraction.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to think about this more broadly. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this has been Haunt Weekly, episode number 85, talking about accidentally offensive scares, props, and scenes. We will see you guys next time.